Once long ago, in a land far away, there lived four little characters who ran through the maze looking for cheese to nourish them and make them happy. Two were mine, named Sniff and Scurry, and two were little people, beings who were as small as mice, but who looked and acted a lot like people today. Their names were Һем and Hoa. To their small size, it would be easy not to notice what the four of them were doing. But if you looked close enough, you could discover the most amazing things. Every day, the mice and the little people spent time in the maze looking for their own special cheese. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, possessing only a simple rodent brain but good instincts, searched for the hard nibbling cheese they liked, as mice often do. The two little people, Һем and Hoa, used their brain, filled their many beliefs, to search for a very different kind of cheese, with a capital C, which they believed would make them feel happy and successful. As different as the mice and little people were, they share something in common. Every morning they each put on their jogging suits and running shoes, left their little homes, and raced out into the maze looking for their favorite cheese. The maze was labor of chambers and some containing delicious cheese. But there were also dark corners and blind areas leading now here. It was an easy place for anyone to get lost. However, for those who found their way, the maze held secrets that let them enjoy a better life. But the mice, Sniff and Scurry, used the simple error method of finding cheese. They ran on one corridor, and if it proved empty, they turned and ran down another. They remembered corridors having the cheese and quickly went in new areas. Sniff smelled out the general direction of cheese using great notes, and Scurry will list ahead. They got lost, as might expect, in the awful wrong direction and often bumped into walls. However, the two little people, Һем and Hoa, had very complex brains. With the leaves in emotion, the midline more complicated, but challenging. They realized more sophisticated methods of finding cheese, with dependability, continual and faster experience over their ability, sometimes clouded by the way looked they. Eventually, in every one way, they all discovered what they were looking for. They each found their own kind of cheese one day, at the end of the one corridor in Cheese Station C. Every morning after that, the mice and little people dressed in their running gear and headed to their Cheese Station C. It was too long before they each established their own routine. Sniff and Scurry continued to work early every day and race through the maze, always following the same routine. When they arrived at their destination, the mice took off their running shoes, tied them together, and hung them around their necks. so they could get them quickly whenever they need them again. In the beginning, Ham and Hoa also raced toward Cheese Station C every morning to enjoy taste new memories that awaited them. But after a while, a different routine set in for the little people. Ham and Hoa awoke each day a little later, dressed a little slower, and walked to Station C. After all, they knew what the cheese was now. How to get there? They had no idea where the cheese came from or who put it there. They just assumed it would be there. As soon as Ham and Hoa arrived at Cheese Station C each morning, they settled and made themselves at home. They hung up their jogging suit, put away their running shoe, and put on their slipper. They were becoming very comfortable now that they had found the cheese. "This is great," Hammond said. "There's enough cheese here to last us forever." The little people felt happy, successful, and thought they were secure. It was long before Ham and Hoa regarded the cheese they found Cheese Station C as their cheese. It was such a large store of cheese that they eventually moved their home to be close to it and built a social life around it. To make themselves feel more home, Ham and Hoa decorated the wall in scenes and even drew pictures of cheese around them, which made them smile. One read, "Having cheese makes you happy." Sometimes Ham and Hoa would take their friends by to see their pile of cheese at Cheese Station C. Very nice cheese, huh? Sometimes they share it with their friends, and sometimes they didn't. "We deserve this cheese," Ham said. "We certainly had worked long and hard enough to find it." He picked up a nice fresh fish and ate it. Afterward, Ham fell asleep, as he often did. Every night, little people would waddle home full of cheese, and every morning they would be confident to return for more. This went on quite some time. After a while, Ham and Hoa's confidence grew into the arrogance. Soon they became so comfortable they didn't even notice what was happening. As time went on, Sniff and Scurry continued their routine. They arrived early each morning, and Sniff and scratched and scurried around Cheese Station C, inspecting the area to see if there had been any changes from the day before. Then they would sit down and nibble on the cheese. One morning they arrived at Cheese Station C and discovered there was no cheese. They weren't surprised, since Sniff and Scurry had noticed the supply of cheese had been getting smaller every day. They were prepared for the inevitable and knew instinctively when to do. They looked at each other, removed the running shoes they had tied together and hung convenient around their necks, put them on their feet, and laced them up. The mice did not overanalyze things to the mice. The problem and the answer were both simple. The situation at the Cheese Station C had changed, so Sniff and Scurry decided to change. They both looked out in the maze. Then Sniff lifted his nose, sniff, and nodded to Scurry, who took off running where Sniff followed fast he could. They were quickly off in search of new cheese. Later that same day, Pan and Hoa arrived at cheese station C. They had not been paying attention to the small chains that had been take place each day, so they took it for granted their cheese would be there. They were unprepared for what they found. What? No cheese? Ham yelled. He continued to yell, no cheese? No cheese? As though if he shouted loud enough, someone would put it back. Who moved my cheese? He hollered. Finally, he put his hands on his head. His face turned red, and he screamed at the top of his voice, "It's not fair!" Hoa just shook his head in disbelief. He, too, had counted on finding cheese at cheese station C. He stood there for a long time, frozen with shock. He was just not ready for this. Ham was yelling something, but Hoa didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to deal with what was facing him, so he was turned everything out. The little people's behavior was not very attractive or productive, but it was understandable. Finding cheese wasn't easy, and it meant a great deal more to little people than just having enough of everything. Finding cheese was the little people's way of getting what they thought and needed to be happy. They had their own idea of what cheese meant to them, depending on their taste. For some, finding cheese was having material things. For others, it was enjoying good health or developing a spiritual sense of well-being. For Hoa, cheese just meant feeling safe, having a loving family someday, and living on a cozy cot on shattered lane. To him, cheese was becoming a big cheese in charge others won a big house atop Camembert Hill. Because cheese was important to them, two little people spent a long time trying to decide what to do. All they could think of was looking around cheeseless Station C to see if the cheese was really gone. While Sniff and Scurry had quickly moved on, Ham and Hoa continued to Ham and Hoa. Hoa started to get depressed. What would happen if the cheese wasn't tomorrow? We may feature playing this based on cheese. The little people couldn't believe it. How could this happen? No one had warned them. It wasn't right. It was not the way things were supposed to be. Ham and Hoa went home at night, hungry and discouraged. But before they left, Hoa wrote on the wall, "The more important your cheese is to you, the more you want to hold on to it." The next day, Ham and Hoa left their homes and returned to cheese station C again, where they still expected somehow to find their cheese. The situation hadn't changed. The cheese was no longer there. The little people didn't know what to do. Ham and Hoa just stood there immobilized like two statues. Hoa shut his eyes as tight he could, put his hand over his ear. He just wanted to black everything out. He didn't want to know the cheese supply had gradually been getting smaller. He believed it moved all of a sudden. Ham analyzed the situation over and over, and eventually his complicated brain with his huge belief system took hold. "Why did they do this to me?" he demanded. "What's really going on here?" Finally, Hoa opened his eyes.